So lo and behold, I had it on my computer. However, this is not the original summer sound. There was a round dance version done to this many, many years ago, and it actually is part of the hi-hat collection that I acquired. And what we did on this is we took the original summer sounds and added a click track to it. Almost imperceptible. The difference being is that it now cuts to the back of the room on the rhythm. This, by the way, is your original shuffle. What is this? 118? No, it's 120. 120 something or other. So anyway, that I was thought about on when we went to break. Oh wait, I do have the round dances where we could actually put the click track. And in this case, click track and...
I have a question here.
Sure, lay it on me.
It bothered me a little bit. You use the comment, it sends it to the back of the room. That implies making it louder, but I don't think that's what you really mean.
No, it's not loud. It's not volume. It's audio perceptibility. You can have a piece. You can have a simple bass beat, and a bass beat.
Why should it be different in the back than in the front?
More people. If you have only one square of dancers.
No.
Yeah.
Your sound propagates.
Correct.
But,
Yeah. See, any simple rhythm is great for a small group. If we had a square of dancers, the square would probably not even go as far back as the back of the room. So I don't need to carry the volume back there. But that's not usually what we call for. We usually have many squares, and so I need to have that sound that drives to the back of the room and not just to the front squares, because there's two things. I want the people to find the beat easy, and I want to find the beat easy. I'm getting older. Now my barber cuts all my gray hairs first, but that does not mean that I don't have gray hair. Having said that, I find that as I age, it's harder for me to hear the rhythm, and so I need to feel the rhythm.
Well, there's a whole lot of things happening at once.
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't want to bring up the subject, but that was my career in science, was acoustics and halls and so forth.
So there you go.
There's a lot of different things happening, and it sounds like you might have had a really nice discovery that a lot of people aren't aware of.
Perhaps it's true. And you know what's interesting to me is that I happen to be buddies with some of the guys who are involved with Chaparral. And when we're talking about click tracks, it's like, yeah, we did that. Oh, how did you do it back in the day? Back in those old days of the 1970s. And he said, well, we detuned the guitar to get that effect. Let's see, I've got something on here. But give me a second here. I actually have one of the old Chaparral pieces, which...
King of the Road?
No, Rockin' and Rosalie's Boat. Found this as a brand new piece of vinyl. It was at a record store that had gone out of business, and found this and converted us over to, didn't add anything to it. But the rhythm feels different. Didn't add anything to it. It feels different than anything else that's out there. And in fact, because it came off this clean piece of vinyl, I want, when we get to the middle part where the percussions kick in, it's almost too sharp. Percussion. No,
next one.
Missed it.
There it goes.
It almost feels too sharp. It almost feels too sharp.
So what you're talking about is the click is actually we're just accenting the step.
Yes.
We're accenting where you step. That's all.
Just in just the same way that the kick drum is not meant to be heard, it's meant to be felt. It's the same way that when we sing, When I choose a microphone, for example, it has to meet a few pieces of criteria. Number one, I want my voice felt. I want me heard. I want the clarity, but I want the lower notes to come through so that you can actually feel a warmth to the voice. Otherwise, because some of the older mics, the older Hilton mics, the ones that were used by TV broadcasters, they tend to be a little too thin. And when they're thin, then it doesn't make a difference. Like Matt's got a beautiful bass voice.
Oh, yeah.
And so the worst that he could do would be to use a cheap mic that just...
The old 636 or whatever.
Also, to deviate just for a second, because we're talking about mics just for a second, I tend to be sibilant, which means I tend to hiss a lot of my S's. And I notice it on my recordings. And so I found microphones that help with sibilance. It helps to eliminate. And you would know that if you recorded your own dances and listen to yourself. Hit your swing through, circle left, spin the top. I know I'm hissy. I know there are ways to correct it, and I've tried it, but sometimes I'm going to be sibilant. First time I've told my wife, well, never mind. I know. That goes down a different rabbit hole, but which we should not, because I may want to run for president someday. And so here we go. But that being said, the sibilance, the hissiness, is this microphone is designed for sibilance to kill that. So.
Someday that somebody's going to invent a call schlep the top. And this will be more important.
So that kind of just deviating for a second, since we are talking about music, address that too. And some of the best ways, I think some of the best ways to kind of wrap up the part on music and to kind of tie in a little bit with the microphone, a very little bit, record your dances. Record your entire dance. And then record the next dance. Then skip a dance and record another one. And when you're driving down the road, listen to it in its entirety. Listen to how long you're running your tips. Listen to the kind of banter that you're using between tips. Listen to how much dead air is present between tips while you're searching your computer for the next selection. Are you ready to go? Or are the people standing there waiting for you? Listen to, are you sibilant when you're speaking? Listen to the tonality of the microphone. Do you sound thin? Is your voice harsh to hear when you're listening to yourself? Be your own best and worst critic. But at the same time that you're listening for things that you do wrong, listen for things that you do right. And whatever you think, say, dang, that was good. That was a beautiful note that I hit on that song. I need to find more songs that have that. That doesn't mean to do that same note on every song, but it means to do what you do and do it well and do it more than once. Do it more than once. If you do and record so that when you finish your tip, don't turn the microphone off. Leave it on. Record the response from the dancers. Are they applauding? Are they talking? Are they just milling about? Record that response, because if you got a good response, then you did something right. And if you did something right, figure it out. Figure out what you did right and do it again and do it again. Now, I'm going to use it as my segue into choreography because I want to spend a little bit of time with choreo. And choreo, by gosh, is a huge subject. We can talk, I could sit here and spin your eyes backward in your socket about how difficult we can make something, how simple we can make something. But I do believe that choreography is one tool that we should be using. Unfortunately, some people use that as their only tool. Now, I'm a contractor by day. And if I walk, and so my job during the daytime is fixing pools and pool equipment. Hence you can see by the tan. Hence you can see I've got a jacket on over here because I'm used to standing outside where it's 100 degrees and it's not 100 degrees right now, so it's a little chilly for me. But that being said, if I walked onto a job and I had in my hand a hammer, I will guarantee you that those people would not like me touching their pool pump, their heater, or their electrical. And if I said, hang on, I'm going to go out to my car and get another hammer. Not the thing that you want your electrician to be doing. So that being said, as I kind of segued earlier about customer service, see, I'm a contractor, and I've been a contractor. I've been self-employed for many years. And guess who else is? All of you are self-employed contractors. Because when I go onto a job and the customer says the electrical panel is shorted, so I'm going to go in there and fix the electrical. Now, if I'm fixing electrical and the customer is reaching over behind me and saying, well, here, let me show you what to do with the wiring, I would say, it's yours. I would step away and I'd get in my truck and I'd go home. And it's the same way that if a club president comes to you and says, I want you to break the people down. These people like to be broken down. I want you to call tough stuff for them. I want you to teach them how to do a triple ripple Archie-Dixie mug chain and a reverse wraparound. And I want you to do it tonight. I want you to teach our classes in 6 months so they can learn everything from 0 to A1 in 6 months. It's the same thing if a customer were to come up to you and say, let me show you how to wire it. You know, it's the same thing. And if somebody were to do it to me, I'd say it is all yours. Because here's what's going to happen. If I let a customer tell me to do something wrong, and it's done wrong, and there's a fire, do you think that customer is going to come back and say, oh, it's my fault?
No.
I told him to do it wrong. Do you think the insurance company is going to go back and say, must be the customer? No. Who's wrong? The contractor. If your dancers are not happy, they're not going to blame the club president. And I'm not saying that every club president's going to do it, but I've been in this business long enough to have had club presidents come to me and whisper an aside, like the snake slithering out of the tree. Break them down.
Yeah.
They want to be broken down. Break them. Call lots of DPD. This is on the video. I'm embarrassed already. And I'll always nod,
Yep.
smile, and I'm going to go out there and do my dance. I'm going to do the dance that I was paid to do, which is to entertain the people. I'm not there to entertain one person. I don't care if that person's signing my paycheck. I'm there to entertain everybody, because at the end of the day, when that fire occurs in that box, I'm the one who's got fingerprints on it. And when the dancers have a miserable time, I'm the one with fingerprints on that dance.
Amen.
Okay, amen. I got an amen. Thank you. So that being said, it's my responsibility to put all of it together. And it's my responsibility to know that I'm the single person responsible, and to have more than one tool when I go on the job. So I don't walk out there with a hammer. I walk out, and I don't walk out there with multiple size hammers. I walk out there with enough tools to do any job that I need to do. And if it's plumbing today, then I'm ready for plumbing. And if it's electrical today, it's electrical. And if it's coming in to call a dance for a group of octogenarians and older, then I'm prepared to do that dance. I have music in there that will be probably a lot of boom chucky rhythms, because that's more calming rhythm to most people. Boom chuck is more calming. I'll probably pick on tunes that they will relate to. I'm going to use tunes like When the Red, Red Robin Goes Bob, Bob, Bobbing Along. On Blue Star, may I point out. Because the people enjoy that. If I'm called upon, as I was at Waska, to go into the youth hall. Now, the youth hall, I work with youths. I work with young people. And their attention span is a lot shorter today than it was when I was young. Of course, back in those days, it took us a little bit longer to chisel out our drawings of the cave walls, so it required a longer attention span. But having said that, what I found, what worked for me, and it won't work for everybody, I said, well, what's going to be entertaining to the young folks here? Something like a driving rhythm. They probably enjoy that. Something played at a faster tempo. They probably enjoy that. Choreography? No, I don't think so. And it's one of those things that just kind of came to me, you know, one of those thank you, Lord moments. Well, I stood in there and I said, what are we going to do this tip? Ah, genius. Swing your partner. Go swing your corner. Go back and swing your partner. Boys, go across and swing the girl across from you. Every boy ran across. Go back and swing your partner. Boys, go and swing the other girl. Come back and swing your partner. Boys, go to a different square. Swing somebody else's girl. Come back and swing your partner. Go to a different square. Swing. I did this the entire tip.
Oh my God.
All I did was one call. Swing. And I thought it was pretty cool. I'll tell you a true story. I had this young lady come to me, not a teenager, one of the other dancers, and she'd seen the whole thing. She says, "You know, you made every teenage boy happy." And I thought about it. I thought, you're right. When I was a teenage boy, I was shy and introverted, and I wasn't going to go ask the prettiest girl in the room to dance with me. I was too shy. But hey, this caller just had me go swing every pretty girl in the room. I thought, man, every teenage boy should be lining up to say, "Thank you, Mr. Whipper. Thank you, Mr. Whipper." It was choreography that fit the moment, and it was music that fit the moment. Now, the biggest challenge then was I left that and immediately went to the C1 hall. And I thought, well, we won't be doing swing for the next hour. But it was one of those things where you said, okay, what can fit? And here's the tools. And so so to carry on, when I went to C1 hall, I had tools for the C1 hall. I had music. And going back to music is a little bit, I tend to use more the boom chucky rhythms the higher the level goes, because that music tends to be a little more relaxing. Now, at advanced, I tend to use more of those driving rhythms, unless it's a workshop type of a setting, in which case I kind of bring it down to boom chuck. As you pointed out, the shuffle rhythms are driving. They're good, and because advanced tends to have a lot of wind in your face calls, as does plus. Mainstream, not so much. What is a wind in your face call? Relay the doozy, load the boat, multiple beats of dancing where the dancers don't have to listen to you, they know what to do. They're responding to what? The music. Correct. So at mainstream, at a mainstream dance, music is critical, but not as many opportunities to put wind in your face. We don't have those wind in your face calls at mainstream. We do at plus, we do certainly at advanced. At challenge, it's not so much wind in your face dancing, and so we tend to bring the music into a little bit calmer setting. Having said that, programming, as we talked about programming, talking about bringing the proper tools to the job. So that if I'm coming in to do electrical, I'm not going to bring the hammer. And if I'm going in to do plumbing, I'm not going to bring the hammer. Well, I might be bringing the hammer. Depends on if I got paid by the customer or not.
Do you know Mona?
Pardon me?
Never mind.
So the concept then on choreography that I want to present to you is partially that. I would say I have the benefit of learning what I learned about choreography from watching Jerry Helt. Jerry Helt was a guy who back in the 40s and 50s was cutting edge of what was considered challenge dancing at the time. And towards the last 30 years of his career was really focused on more of the folk side of calling, and the simpler side of calling, and was the only guy who called at the folk dance camp in the Pacific Folk Dance Camp in California. I believe he was there on staff for about 45 years. And he's a marvel. He could take nothing and make something out of it. And I think that's where I prefer to be. If I'm called upon to do a dance, and so for all of you callers who teach beginners, I love beginners. No matter what I do, as long as they win, I'm a hero. Now if they flop, I'm the zero. My fingers are all over that. And so my idea, if I'm calling to beginners, and if it's a third night of beginners, they're not going to know triple ripple, archidixie mug chain. They're not going to know spin chain through. They're not going to know any of those calls. So but I'm going to do a singing call. And we're going to have them sing along. So I'm going to use probably things like heads, join hands, and circle to the left, go all the way around. And sides, come in, make a right hand start, find your corner, Allemande left. Pass by your partner, swing the next, say hello next, keep her and promenade. Give them a few extra beats of music to get all the way back home, because I don't want them to have to rush. I purposefully place beginners and slower moving dancers on the further quadrant from home, which means that I place them further away from home so that their promenade is shorter and they can get back home in enough time without my having to, for example, I'm going to give you an example. For example, if I'm doing a singing call, let me just pull one up right here. something with a good, strong, all right. So this has got a nice, strong phrasing to it. All right, this is beginners now. Head couple promenade outside, halfway around sides, go forward and back. Heads into the middle and join hands, circle left, halfway and back away, so I'm home. Sides to the middle, make a right hand star, we're going to turn it. You find your corner, alum and the left. Now here we go. Pass by one and take a brand new girl and promenade. They move one position further than home. They're not going to, the angels won't slam on the brakes and back up. They can't. If it's plus, heads promenade outside, halfway around the ring. And now the sides to a right, the left through, you turn them and then the sides square through and they get forehand around you go, and when you meet, slide through. Then pass through and chase to the right, and then you swing. Now, guess what? That swing takes place, so their promenade home is only going to be 8 beats in 16 beats of music. So if I've got an older group who's having a difficult time, and let me walk back to older part. If they're just a group with limited mobility, then they need more time to get back home. Because otherwise, I'm still combing. If I'm doing the same figure, heads promenade half, but heads do a right and a left through, heads square through 4, slide through, pass through, chase right, and here we go and swing. Swing your corner. Guess what? They've got to swing and promenade. Now they're going to pass home, and you promenade home with the one you adore, singing one of those wonderful songs. They're still promenading. They're still promenading. Oh, there's my key change. Okay, ready now. 4 ladies promenade inside. It lost the whole feel of the whole song. And all I had to do to change it was have the, instead of heads promenade halfway, heads right and left through, heads square through, heads promenade halfway, sides right and left through, sides square through, slide through, pass through, chase right, and their swing now is across from home. 8-beat promenade, 16 beats of music. If you have the heads promenade half, heads right and left through, heads square through 4, slide through, pass through, chase right, swing, promenade. 17 beats of promenade, 16 beats of music. Think about that. You've given them 1 too many beats to move in 1 less beat of music. Maybe 16-beat promenade. I like the people to be in time with the music with me, because I started as a round dance person. I started as a round dance cuer. And so as a round dance cuer, if we're putting on a piece of music, well, here's a good piece of music now, okay? And the cue is going to be to do 2 forward, 2 steps. 2 forward, 2 steps. The dancers know you are off. The dancers know you suck as a cuer. You are so freaking late in your timing. And it's the same thing, the square dancers know the same thing. If you're waiting for the people to get home, it's an easy fix. Pull a different tool out of your tool bag. And the tool that you may have to use choreography. How, now, we're not going to show you how we can do a fancy way of reducing. I'm going to show you a fancy way of getting them home with enough music, and you don't have to wait for them. Simply move the dancers to the different quadrant on the square. If you have dancers who swing, and you say swing, promenade home, and they stop short, does it kill you? Doesn't it just kind of just drive a dagger right here? It's just like, really? I'm going to sing while you stand there. I don't like that. And if they want to do that, that's cool. But no, normally, when I do a dance, I have the dancers swing in a different quadrant. I never have them swing right close to their home position for a number of reasons. Number one, they're not going to stop short, because no one, Mac, help me for a second. You're home. Let's just say you're to stand right here in a square, okay? This is my home. This is my home. But if I were to swing right here and promenade, it's easy for me to swing and promenade and stop short, and everybody slams on their brakes, and everything falls to pieces. But if that's my home, and you swing over here instead by coming out from this side and standing over here, and we swing each other and promenade, how can he stop short? He can't. We have to take a nice stroll around the square.
I taught a beginner's class for Bill Harrison the other night, and a fella came up to me afterwards, and he says, you said swing and promenade. He says, I was only 2 steps away from home. What do I do? Perfect example of what your statement.
Right.
And I told him, I said, normally the caller will have you in a position where when he says promenade, he's not going to want you to stop that 1 step. He wants you to promenade because he's going to be singing.
Correct.
Otherwise you're going to be standing there and he's still going to be singing.
Right. Normally we want them to promenade. And now, we can school. We can school. There are people who will resent being schooled. Who will say, no damn caller's going to tell me what to do. If I choose to stop short, it's because my leg is hurting. Okay, stop short. Let me make it easier for you. Let me give you a shorter promenade. Then we're both happy. Then I can still sing. You can still dance. You're still in time with the music. You can promenade shorter, and we'll all be happy. And in fact, usually what I've taken to doing in my dances, and here again it varies group to group. If that first swing, if the first figure in my singing call is a swing right at home, I watch them on their promenade. The second time on that second figure, I have them swing across the street. So now their promenade is shorter, because I know that my middle break is going to be something different. It might be a grand square. It might be a 4 ladies promenade. It might have a key change, in which case I want them home and ready so they hear that key change, just jump right in there. If it's a little singing song, I want them home in time for that grand square. That's really what I want. So choreography then becomes my little tool that I really use, not just to show people how smart I am, but to show them how good they are at dancing. Another little tidbit I'm going to share with you on choreography. How to make, in my opinion, choreography is not meant to impress us as callers. It's not meant to impress us. It's meant to make the dancers look good. Period. That's the whole essence of choreography. And so once upon a time, we had a lady dance in our group. She was in her twilight years of dancing. And we've all seen those folks. And I'm not going to be the one who says, no, you can't dance anymore. She had a stiff leg. It must have been broken, and it was set straight. And so she danced like this. She danced like this for 15 years.
Was her name Mary?
No, her name was not Mary. She was the most wonderful person you could meet. Her husband was a grumpy sort, but I'll tell you what melted him. When I found that she had difficulty getting around on certain calls, I stopped calling those calls. I discovered she could not maneuver on a left-hand turn because she couldn't swing that bad leg around and keep in time with the music. So, square through, out. Right and left through, out. She couldn't do the right and left through without falling behind and without struggling. Well, doesn't take a genius. We're not going to do any square throughs for her. So if we did a square through, if she was at the heads, I had the side square through. That was easy. That was easy. What could she do really well? Circle to a line. Heads lead right, circle to a line. She pivoted right around to that bad leg and she came right up in perfect time. Every single time. I couldn't call her right and left through from there, from a line of 4. But what could she do really well? Pass through, bend the line. She could bend the line twice. She could pass through, bend the line, bend it again. Look, boom, boom, boom. And she never fell behind in the square. And the people who would kind of whisper on the side, you know, you should tell her to leave the group. She's really slow. Nobody wants to dance with her. Away with you, sir.
That's right.
She was fine. I found what she could do well, and I called for her every single time. Every time she got up every time she danced, I watched her square. I watched other squares, but I watched her, and she succeeded. And her husband melted. Her husband no longer had to listen to people behind her back, and now the people were happy to dance with her because suddenly it's like, oh, whatever happened to? I can't remember what her name was now. I think it was Marie. But whatever, how come she's dancing so much better now? I'll tell you why, but you won't believe me. So I'm not going to tell you. But if the bottom line was choreography, not in my mind, how difficult I can make something, but how can I turn something to her advantage? She wins, her husband's happy, I won. I was the last caller she ever danced with. When she left this earth, her husband thought I was the greatest guy in the world. Because I was a guy who made her look good. She already knew how to dance. She was just victim to guys who couldn't figure out what she couldn't do and insisted upon doing what they wanted to do rather than what she could do. The difference between what we want, what we expect, and what the people can do and what they expect. And I'm going to leave you with the thought that we have to come to a point where we can compromise on those two. We have what we like as music. We have what we like as choreography. We have what we like as our expectation of what people should know and what they should dance. But between that, there is this gap between what we expect and what they can do, what the dancers can do, and what the dancers enjoy doing. And sadly, that gap is expanding as I see it as time goes on. We're not closing that gap, we're creating more of a chasm. We do it in a number of ways. We're doing it by increasing the number of calls we're putting on our lists. If the dancers are struggling with the number of mainstream calls right now, then why do we need to add one more call to mainstream? Why? And we have now added quarter tag to the mainstream program. If the people are already struggling, if you have somebody who's struggling with a burden, carrying 2 buckets on a stick down the street, why would you go and put another brick in their bucket and expect them to say thank you or expect them to be happy? This, my friends, is a pastime. None of us are doing this for a career. It's not my career. I have a day job. You all have day jobs, or you're retired. Am I right? So, calling for you, if you don't call a dancer the next month, how many of you will skip a meal? No hands go up in the air. My hand won't go up in the air. I'll still eat. I won't skip a meal. I won't miss a meal. Does it look like I miss many meals? But that being said, then we're here because we choose to be. And if we choose to be, then let's see how we as contractors can come to the point where our customers' expectations and our delivery can meet closer to the middle than further apart. And how that we as contractors can listen to what our customer wants and come closer to what they want. That's not to say to give in, and if they tell you to do the wrong thing, do the wrong thing. By all means, do the right thing. By all means, increase the number of tools in your tool bag. By all means, treat your customers. If you hire an electrician shows up late, an electrician leaves early, and he didn't do a good job, and he wants full payment, how happy are you with that contractor? And think about that as a caller or a queuer. How happy do you think your customer is if you fall into any one of those little categories? I can tell you, as a contractor, I'm not the best electrician. I'm not the fastest plumber. But I get a lot of jobs because I'm the guy who, number one, shows up. Number two, I show up on time. Number three, I look at what the customer needs and I don't give them what they don't want. And I talk to my customer with respect. And I educate my customer in every single turn. This is what your problem is. Now, I can tell you 2 weeks ago, when I walked into a job and I saw duct tape holding together plumbing with 23 pounds of pressure pushing on the plumbing. My first thought was when the customer said, "Let me turn it on," I said, "Don't." Well, I didn't want to say, well, whoever did this was an idiot. I didn't say that because I had a hunch. I said, you know, whoever did this, I don't think it's real safe. He said, "Oh yeah, I did that." I had a hunch.
You didn't call him an idiot.
I didn't call him an idiot. I said, it's not really safe and I don't think you should turn it on. He said, I didn't know that. That is the customer service that got me the job. That's the kind of customer service I come in with as a caller. I'm your contractor. I come in, I show up on time, I show up.
Yeah, that's,
I show up clean, I'm presentable, I don't have pieces of food hanging out of my teeth, I don't look like I haven't shaved in a few months, I don't look like my hair, I can't afford a haircut. I do a good job, I charge fairly, I leave a customer happy. And that is my thing that I do all the time as a caller and as a contractor. I ask that you are there if you're not there yet. And with that, I'll leave you and just say if you have any questions, we can take about 5 minutes of questions. Thank you for your time.
Beautiful
All right,
job.
buddy.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Tom, for having me and hosting me.